Welcome to AALI Speaks. I'm Alan Mitchell. I'm here with Chris May. Chris, can you tell me about yourself and your role with Richland County Library?
Sure. Thank you for having me on, Alan. I am the director / fiscal officer for the Mansfield-Richland County Public Library. I've been in that role going on 6 years now, which is incredible to think. And I've been with the library going on 10 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, as we try to unravel all of our opportunities with our property tax renewals and ballot initiatives, why do we need a property tax renewal levy to support the Mansfield-Richland County Library District?
Sure. This is a 10-year renewal. That's something that we're very proud of, is the fact that after 10 years, we're not asking for an increase, not asking for any new tax or anything, asking for a straight renewal. And that's really to maintain and really continue expanding some of the services that we are offering throughout the county, particularly in a lot of our outreach efforts, and expanding some of our services with some of the services I'll talk later about, like our Library of Things, and maybe some makerspace opportunities, things like that. And also looking at some of our buildings. If you're familiar with our main library downtown, it was built in 1908. The separate wings were built later, but that takes a lot of maintenance, and there's a lot of things we'd like to do with that space, as well as with some of our branch locations that can't offer some of the services because of the space limitations. So there's definitely a lot that we can do and hope to do with the levy funds.
So you mentioned services. What services does the library district provide here in Richland County?
When I talk about what we provide, I really talk first off, there's the traditional library services that everyone knows about, the transaction, the, checking out books, magazines, checking out newspapers, video games, DVDs, things like that. We have, public computer stations that people are welcome to use for research purposes, entertainment purposes, workforce development types of services as well. And then there's those things that people don't think about a library necessarily doing, and some of the things that we've been expanding on over those past 10 years. We do passports at the main library if you want to apply for your first passport. Notary services. We have meeting spaces. We've really been expanding our digital offerings through the Ohio Digital Library, which is Overdrive, the Levy app, if people are familiar with that, and then through Hoopla. And we've seen a great increase in traffic on those platforms, particularly coming out of the pandemic. We have a memory lab over at the main library where you can think those old videos you took of a graduation, a wedding, things like that. And you don't want to lose those things. They're on, old VHS, a high 8 8mm film, pictures on 50mm slides. We can transfer those over. We can work with you to learn our software there, and you can have that transferred usually to an SD card or a USB stick, things like that, so you can save those memories. We have adventure passes by working with some of the local places around town. We have a lot of cool resources around Mansfield and Richland County, and you can check out a free pass, and they're all different. Some of them check out for a day or two, some of them check out longer, to the Buckeye Imagination Museum, the Kingwood Center, Oak Hill Cottage, Ohio Bird Sanctuary, Richland Academy. They will offer a free class, yoga, salsa, self-defense class, Ohio State Reformatory, the Renaissance, and the Carousel once it is able to be reopened as well. So we're also doing our Library of Things I mentioned a minute ago. You can check out power tools from there. You do the home project. I don't want to buy a drill or saw or something, if I'm going to use it once. I can check one out at the library, use it for that weekend project, and bring it back. Puzzles, board games, which is an entirely different culture that I didn't know existed before we offered this, but board game culture is a thing, and people are really, really into it. We do blood pressure cuffs as well. We've been doing that through Richland Public Health for a long time now. Air quality monitors, Just all these different things that we didn't think about doing in libraries. I've been in libraries 21 years. I never would have thought that I would see us do these kind of things, but it's really exciting to offer these things digitally, in person, and then, also expand our outreach. If you're in an event around Mansfield or Richland County and we're not there, I'd be surprised, because our staff is doing a great job bringing our new bookmobile out that we've had for a couple years, and they're bringing it to those events, and they're reaching people where the people are. Sometimes we have to expand past our four walls in order to reach people and provide services, and we're doing that throughout the county, and we're doing that a lot in the North End, and a lot of the programs that you have going on, and that's an important part, is being a part of the community, and all these different things we're doing. That's what we're working on and what we're hoping to expand upon in the future.
It's a lot of services. What percentage of the Richland County Library budget does this $3.9 million levy represent?
Great question. Most years it's around 61 to 62% of our budget, so roughly 2/3. And that's obviously a huge percentage, which shows how important this renewal is to our operations and the services we provide.
So how much is Mansfield paying compared to the rest of the county?
Right. Mansfield obviously makes up a big chunk of it, because the population density of Mansfield compared to the rest of the county. Shelby is the only municipality not included, because they have their own separate library, Marvin Memorial Library, but the rest of the county provides funding for this. So Mansfield's roughly about 40% or so of that number, which is a high percentage, which is why we're really getting out there to promote this and to promote our services as well.
So where's the other third come from?
Yeah, the other third comes through state government, and that is through the Public Library Fund. And this is a percentage of the general revenue fund for the state. And right now, currently, we receive 1.7% of that number. And that can fluctuate as the state goes through its biennial budget process every 2 years. We have been at 1.7% the last 2 budget cycles. But that's always a number that can change too, depending on what's going on statewide. We've been very thankful that has stayed steady for the last few years, though.
NECIC partnered with Richland County Library to assist us in celebrating Black History Month, Women's History Month, and other literacy initiatives for our elders and for our youth. What other services or strategic partnerships are improving the lives of North End residents through Richland County Library District?
That's a great question. And doing Women's History Month was kind of a new one for us this year, and we love doing that. Black History Celebration, when we did that was our first real in-person one since the pandemic. We did some other things the last 2 years, but it was great to see the community back at that event. We had, I want to say, between 800 and 900 people attend that event. And we had a lot of organizations represented, including NACIC, and we're very thankful for that. We also really want to partner with North End residents and various things. Number one, we can provide access to the traditional resources, reading material, educational and entertainment material, just things that, going out and buying a hardback book right now, I'm shocked when I see the price of things like that, $25, $30 for something like that. That's the traditional stuff, but we also want to work with the community on things like workforce development. Our workforce development coordinator, Steve Russell, does a great job of presenting out in the community, and Annie Rhodes, our outreach coordinator, does a great job of that as well. We have access to resources that can help people really hone their skills. It used to be, back when I was a reference librarian, it was helping people apply for jobs or helping them with their resume, things like that. We can certainly help people with that. We're happy to do so, but also people want to work on their skills. You can't do much without a computer nowadays, and we're seeing a lot of people, especially since the pandemic, who have lost their jobs or their jobs have changed. You know, you might have been working in a factory for 20 years and now you have to, learn Word and Excel and email and all these things that you might not have had to use in your job before. So we have access to a great program called North Star Digital Literacy. And this is something we're really pushing with individuals, organizations, employers, where you can do assessments to see where you're at on using Word and Excel or, email, business writing, things like that, and see what skills do I need to improve upon. So you can, take quick little tests on that. It's really user friendly compared to, some services that were out there prior. And then you can take an actual assessment with our staff where you can get continuing education credits that show that you worked on this Excel class or this Word class. We really want to work with people on this because the world is changing and, a lot of people are finding themselves, having to apply for jobs with skills that they may not have. And that's something that we really want to do. We work closely with NAACP. We work closely with the North End Elders. We go to a lot of their meetings. And, we want to be a part of that community to also hear, what do our North End residents need? And I'm very proud of the fact that we do our best to listen to that. We want to provide as many services as we can. And I think through our outreach efforts, we can continue to expand upon that in the future. And I really hope to do so.
Indeed. So what would happen to the service delivery model if this levy were to fail?
If it were to fail, it would lead to a drastic cut in services, both traditional and non-traditional services. Looking at our collection budget, it would be cut probably in half, if not more. We would see several of our branch locations close, and we would have to work on different scenarios for what that would look like. Service hours would obviously change as well, and unfortunately we would lose a lot of our staff as well through those changes. Listening to the community and what the community wants, they want more from us in a good way. They want us to keep expanding these services. So obviously it would be heartbreaking to see that go the other way. It's vital to our operation, and it's vital to not just our staff, it's vital to the community.
Are you able to use these funds to accomplish maybe something innovative on the horizon and provide a service to Richland County residents that's not currently available?
Sure. I kind of mentioned earlier a makerspace idea, and this has really evolved over time with some of the libraries I've seen that have established makerspaces. We've done things like our memory lab, which kind of fits the bill some. We are doing 3D printing at the main library in our computer lab, and check it out if you get a chance because it's really fascinating what they can create. We actually have 3 3D printers now, and we do take requests from people for things to print as well for just the cost of the filament that you print with. And I want to see us expand on that and create more of a true makerspace environment. People aren't always looking for the high-tech stuff. They're looking for things like a laminator they can use, a Cricut cutter that they can use, paper cutter, button maker has been a huge hit when we've taken that to programs. People want things that they can create on their own. They want that experience, and I think that's something that's really incredible and something that libraries are now starting to do that they didn't do before. We offer a lot of craft programs at Main Library, and they're some of our most popular. People want that experience. They want to create something on their own. I think we can also then continue to expand some of our outreach resources. I want to partner with NACIC to create more opportunities within the North End, because getting to Main Library is easier said than done sometimes, depending on where you're coming from, and transportation issues and things like that. We want to bring more things to North End residents, and I think we can expand that. I'd like to see that happen.
I was especially excited, by the way, to see you participating in the seed sharing events also.
Yes.
But that, just an aside. Can you tell us a story, maybe one or two, about a program or clients that your staff has engaged with in an amazing way? All the great heroes don't always make the news, but but you might have a couple favorite anecdotes.
Absolutely. One that immediately came to mind, our memory lab, where people were able to, take those old videos and photos and digitize them and keep them forever. We had a young woman and her grandfather come in. This was maybe about a month ago or so, and they were digitizing his wedding pictures and family pictures and some video and things like that. He was amazed because he thought, I'm going to lose these things eventually. I mean, this stuff is not new, and some of those things can be brittle. And watching them be able to do this and the smiles on their faces, I got to interact with them myself on the way out. I just thanked them for using it, and they were so thrilled that they were able to hold these memories forever. My staff interacted with them, and they were it was just such a joy to see that. And then when we go out to different events and we can interact with our youth, that's awesome. Kids still have those good feelings of coming to the library. I saw a young girl, probably about 4 or 5, come in with her mother the other day, and as soon as she got to the second floor lobby at Main Library, she ran to the kids department screaming, "Books, books, books." And that was so cool to see, interacting with our youth and giving them something, productive to do. We have a lot of our children's staff does a great job throughout the system. But at Main Library, they took some of the toys and STEM learning resources and moved them out into the main part of the children's department. We used to have them in a separate room, and we wanted to make it more interactive for kids and families when they come in. And that's been one of the biggest changes we've made over the last couple of years. It's incredible how much more welcoming it's made the space, and how much longer people will stay because kids are doing something interactive. You and I talked earlier about looking at a screen all the time. Like, they're not looking at a screen, they're interacting with something, and they're learning something as they go. Those experiences, I think, it definitely makes the job worthwhile.
That's awesome. You're doing a lot, but I guess the question becomes, why 3.9 mil? Why not? Is 3.9 mil enough to keep up with the needs of our community, especially as life becomes that much more expensive?
Absolutely. Our staff is able to be very creative in what they think up of, and without breaking the bank, so to speak. Our board has been incredibly wonderful to work with. We're looking at these constantly. I've been in the role almost 6 years, so I came in kind of the second half of this levy cycle, and we started watching that money to make sure, do we need more immediately, or do we feel comfortable with where we're at, that we can continue to do these things? And we all feel comfortable with where we're at right now, and we certainly are aware of times are tough. We don't want to ask for more than we need. We don't want to put more on the taxpayers, in Mansfield and Richland County. We want to be able to provide these services reasonably. And I think we have a good plan for doing that, and that's something that I'm extremely proud of.
So, I'm only human. What did I forget to ask you?
No, you ask great questions. Really, I think what I always say when I'm talking about the library is, I mentioned that as far as transaction. How much has librarianship changed really since I've been in it 21 years? I went from, it was pretty well strictly that transaction when I started in libraries down in Logan County, Ohio, where I grew up, years ago. And now it's become more of an experience. You still have that transactional element. That's key. That's vital to what we do. But we have people who are coming up with cool ideas for interacting with people, and we get great ideas from our customers as well. And I think that's what people are looking for. And, I hate to keep mentioning the pandemic, but it's like that dividing line there. I think coming out of that, that's what people were looking for. We wanted to interact again. We didn't see each other for how long. And I think people want those experiences. They want to interact with each other. They want to create something on their own. And they want to create memories. And really, our space is a great place to do that, because we really offer something for everyone. And I can't wait to see what we offer next.
Well, thank you for coming, and thank you for sharing with us the importance of this upcoming ballot initiative. Hopefully we find a more informed electorate.
Great, thank you.